I got asked this last night on Channel 4, is this a distraction? And you went through this as a player. I know my theory here is that, like, when guys are on the field and in the locker room, they're not talking or thinking about that. It's just basically when the media asks them about it.
100%.
When you were a player and somebody was in a contract situation, was it on your mind?
No. It wasn't on my mind. I would tell the reporters, I'm not talking about their business because I'm not going to want them to talk about mine.
Wagner said about that. Wagner's line yesterday was terrific. He's like, this is a business, and some business isn't your business.
Yeah, that's it. And I think we all assume every player is concerned about everything going on. And most guys don't ever think of anything like that unless you ask questions.
I thought you would really like this. I wanted to read this to you. Bobby Wagner yesterday kind of got asked about the age thing, and his answer was just so good. He said some of it, I think, is the media's perception of what old is. Because if you say 35 in any other industry, we're considered super young. But 35 in this industry, you almost think that we are like 200 years old or something. So I think it's the media pushing in, my opinion, that narrative. But where that marriage comes is, it's always kind of funny. If you watch a guy that's been in the game for a long time that understands, and you watch a rookie, there's not that many steps because you know where the ball's going. So he might take 10 steps to get where he needs to be, while I'll just take 2. And so I don't waste movement. And that's kind of where that comes. You hear checks, you hear different things, and you can make up for maybe some of the speed or whatever by just knowing where the ball's going. And so this guy that's moving quick and moving this and doing that, you beat him to the spot just because you know where the spot's at faster than he is. So I've always thought this game has been more mental and physical as you get older. You got to use your mind.
When the people would always say that football is 95% mental and 5% physical, I used to always tell them just go play it. But that's basically what he's saying. I always use the example, Matt Millen. Matt Millen was slower than the D lineman. But Matt Millen arrived at the spot before everybody because he knew what was going on. A young guy who's very fast. Remember I told you about Cole Holcomb?
Yeah.
I say, yeah, because everybody say how fast he was. I say, yep. He run himself right out of position because he don't know where the hell he's supposed to be. Or he's running over there very late and he does something stupid. Well, that veteran player already has figured out where they're going, and he takes less movement, less step, less effort, and makes the play over and over again. But I would just have to tell Bobby, it's not a media thing. The front offices use that to try to hold people back. And then they'll tell you the media keep pushing it. They don't talk about it unless the front office talk about it.
That was the one thing I wanted to say. If the
front office would not talk about it, the media wouldn't talk about it. That's why I try to just get rid of it on a regular basis.
Yeah, I think, you've got to examine your roster from 100 different angles. That's kind of the game.
Mm-hmm.
But you also have to allow for outliers and guys that can do stuff beyond what the data set shows, because every year those guys exist. And, there was a reason all the analytic people liked Drake May over Jaden Daniels. And a lot of it was just based on, like, unseen potential. Remember, Jaden's age was a talking point going into the draft? Like, how absurd does that sound? And Drake may end up being a great quarterback. Like, I just think when you were talking about age of a player that was 22, you're overthinking it. And I don't know. With Terry, dude, maybe there is some real concern. Like, in golf, shooting your age is a pretty incredible feat.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for Terry to make his age at 32, maybe that gives the Commanders brass some pause. But I don't think age should be the driving factor in getting the deal done.
I've gotten better with age in golf. I don't know if that works.
Did you ever lose a step football-wise?
When I was playing?
Yeah.
No. You remember they said I lost a step here.
Right.
And my last game was a 100-yard touchdown. And then I went to Philly, and I had more steps. I had more touchdowns than the people that they were to get, that they thought were faster and better. So, as I stated, if I did lose it, I found it on 95 on my way to Philly.
But at the same time, you must have seen some guys lose steps, right? Like, because as much as there are guys that continue their game, Bobby Wagner's a prime example. You're a prime example. There are guys that fall off.
But see, this is the question. Did the guy have a step to lose? Okay? D. Green was running 4.13. If he lost a step, he runs 4.2.
True.
Still faster than all the other damn people running with him. So until he gets to about 4.6, him losing steps don't make a difference, does it?
Especially if you're smarter.
All right, so when you are a running back, if you were running 4.4 and now you're running 4.49, 4.5, is that real slow? But you lost that step, but now instead of rounding out like you did when you were a young guy, you're cutting everything real sharp. So now your quickness take over instead of your speed. You know, people always say he's quick, he's not fast. A quick guy gets through a hole. And then if the guy has come downhill and then that guy is chasing you, that guy who's faster than you may not catch you if you have the endurance to keep running. You have the physicality to keep going. So that lost the step thing is just something they throw out there because that thing, you can take it all types of directions.
For sure. I think a lot of reasons front offices want young guys. Let's be honest.
They're cheaper.
They're cheaper.
And they are not as smart. Sometimes you can manipulate that. I'm not saying they're not as smart on the field. They know football. But sometimes you can do things with young people you can't do with that veteran guy. Mm-hmm. You know, just like a lot of times you notice some coaches, they were here, want to get the veteran guy out the locker room because he educates kids too much. He let them know what they shouldn't be doing. When you're doing some practice stuff that's not supposed to be happening, the veteran guy can tell you about it. He understands all the rules. The young guy just do whatever the coach wants him to do.
Well, dude, it's interesting because we put this on All Ears last night. I thought it was really interesting. Wagner got asked about why do guys want to play for DQ.
Uh-huh.
And he said that. He's like, Dan lets you be yourself. Mm-hmm. He's not trying to bring you in to conform to what somebody else wants. And
only one thing he wants people that want to work.
Right.
If you want to work, then you can be a little aloof, or you could be the hip, like Joe Gibbs. Joe had people from all different walks of life, bro. Darryl Green and John Riggins aren't the same people.
Right.
Let's get that straight.
Right.
You know, Mark Rippon and Alvin Walton, they ain't sure not to say. They're both from the West Coast. One guy from Washington State, other guy from Compton.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Well, and that's one of the best parts about football is there's a role for everybody,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Tall, short, skinny, fat, slow, fast. I think, you know, as they continue to build this thing out, you do see – listen, man, it's July 24th. If everybody's not getting along well, you're doing something wrong anyway. But, like, you do see the real team building they put in and what it means. Also today, when you hear these veteran players say how well Dan Quinn takes care of them, you got Von Miller and Laramie Tunsil on the second day of camp getting a veteran day off.
Mm-hmm.
And
so I used to think about that too. I just thought about it when you mentioned it earlier. They get a day off because you know why? People think, oh, they just showed up to camp yesterday. They're getting a day off. They were working out all the way up to training camp. So now they're getting that day
right.
off. You know what I mean? Like, you think about it where, like you hear the coaches are leaving for that month. The player can't take a month off.
Right.
You get in shape all that time, then you take a month off, and now you come to camp, you'll die.
I mean, you might get cut. Like, depending on the type of player you are,
yeah.
what you are contractually.
You got to keep working out, man. So.
That's a great point. I think, you know, with DQ and the staff they've put together, they are pushing all the time. I mean, these practices are up-tempo. I posted this one video of the D-line going through drills, and it was so fast and so furious,
Mm-hmm.
to quote Vin Diesel. Like, it was just the pace with which they're going. They're also going to ramp this thing up a little bit more. Yesterday was probably a little less than 90 minutes. Today I think it's going to be closer to 100, closer to 2 hours. It's just they know how to build the organization out here. And the Terry thing is lingering and probably will continue. But I think the way DQ talked about Cosme is like a fair window into when the organization will get alarmed about Terry, frankly.